In perusing a late review containing a dissertation upon the works of the celebrated German writer, Goethe, I find quoted from them the following strictures upon Shakespeare's Hamlet. As all Americans, who are readers and have some literary pretensions, are interested in the right interpretation of our favorite poet and dramatist, I am assured it will not be deemed a work of mere supererogation that I should undertake to show the error into which Goethe has fallen in his attempt to sketch the character of Hamlet. In his Wilhelm Meister may be found the subjoined criticism of Shakespeare's tragedy. Speaking of Hamlet, he says, "Imagine to yourself this youth, this king's son. Figure to yourself accurately his position, and then observe him when he learns that the ghost of his father has appeared. Place yourself by his side in that terrible night, when the venerable spirit itself appears to him. A prodigious horror seizes him. He addresses the wonderful apparition, sees it beckon to him, follows and hears. The terrible accusation against his uncle sounds in his ears the demand of vengeance, and the pressing and repeated supplication, 'Remember me.' And when the ghost has vanished, whom do we see standing before us? A young hero panting for revenge? A born prince who rejoices that he is challenged against the usurper of his crown? No. Astonishment and despondency overcome the solitary youth. He is bitter against smiling villains, swears not to forget the departed, and concludes with the significant sigh, 'The times are out of joint. O cursed spite, that ever I was born to set them right.' In these words, methinks, lies the key to Hamlet's whole behavior, and it is evident to me that Shakespeare intended to depict a great deed imposed upon a soul which is not equal to the deed. And in this sense, I find the piece complete throughout. Here is an oak planted in a delicate vase, which was intended to hold flowers. The roots develop themselves, and the vase is shattered and destroyed. Such is Goethe's conception of the character of Hamlet, in which, as is evident to me, he is entirely mistaken, and in which he shows that he never ascended to the dignity and even majesty of that hero's whole character. It was not because Hamlet was below the task assigned him by his father that he discovered so much regret, chagrin, and even despondency upon perceiving that the execution of it had fallen to his lot, but because he was above it. As modeled by the hands of Shakespeare, he is one of those fine, mercurial, and elevated spirits who are capable of any enterprise which becomes a great and good man who has the fear of God before his eyes and the love of his fellow creatures in his heart. But it was with the deepest repugnance and inward horror that by the revelations made to him from the ghost, he felt himself constrained to imbrue his hands in the blood of a fellow creature, and that fellow creature his uncle, and now his king, and the husband of his mother. Were these the sensations of a man incompetent to the task of avenging a father's wrongs? Did they not rather characterize him as the very person to whom a noble-spirited father would choose to entrust the redress of his injuries and the punishment of an atrocious offender? Was it ever yet thought a disqualification for his office in a judge, that in pronouncing sentence of death upon a criminal, his heart melted with compassion, and his mouth reluctantly uttered the dreadful penalties of the law? How much more strong emotions of repugnance to the part he was performing might he be indulged in feeling when he was to become not only the judge, but the executioner? Hamlet is represented by Shakespeare not only as a youth of the finest capacity and of a proud, bold, and magnanimous spirit, but also of elevated moral worth and of a delicate and scrupulous conscience, and acutely alive to the hopes and fears of his religion. These were the feelings that caused him to look upon the part he was compelled to perform in life by the wickedness of an uncle with such extreme disquietude and agitation of mind. A remorseless villain would have assumed the office and then have executed it with satisfaction, and more especially when by so doing he would not only punish a relative for supplanting him in the empire, but prepare the way for his own more speedy ascent to it. This is the kind of personage which Goethe, more than intimates, he would have regarded as equal to the task which the elder Hamlet imposed upon his son. Such a young hero, panting for revenge, or born prince, rejoicing that he is challenged against the usurper of his crown, might, indeed, at once, and without pain or compunction of conscience, have plunged a dagger into the bosom of the king and brought the conflict to a speedy close. But such a hero would not have been a Hamlet, nor have suited the pencil of such a painter as Shakespeare, who delighted not in the portraiture of such monsters as Meister, Faust, and Mephistopheles, but in blending the mixed lights and shades that enter into real and natural characters with whom human beings can cordially sympathize, and in whose features they can trace, under diversified modifications, their own likeness. After quoting these lines, "The times are out of joint, O cursed spite, that ever I was born to set them right," Goethe remarks. In these words, methinks, lies the whole key to Hamlet's behavior. And it is evident to me that Shakespeare intended to depict a great deed imposed upon a soul which was not equal to the deed. A strange conception, indeed, that so consummate a master of his art as Shakespeare would have selected as the hero of his drama a personage incompetent to the task allotted him in the action. This interpretation is of a piece with that of another late commentator upon this author, who broached the opinion that Hamlet is not acting under the influence of a feigned but real insanity. Such critics would make sad work with this noble monument of human genius. To suppose Hamlet insane or incompetent to the commission assigned him by his father would disfigure the whole propriety and blur the majesty of the performance. The misconception of the German writer would be fatal to that grandeur and magnanimity which are indispensable properties in a heroic character. The repugnance to the task allotted him, which is evinced by Hamlet, and a vexatious chagrin that it had fallen to his share to execute it, instead of furnishing any proof of timidity and weakness, are decided indications of moral superiority and that delicate structure of heart and mind that cannot brook the indignity of being constrained to perpetrate a deed which is odious and disgusting. But let it be remarked, in complete exoneration of Hamlet from this unjust imputation, that this inward reluctance to avenge a father by the condign punishment of an uncle and a mother formed but a single ingredient in the complex feeling which at this time filled and disquieted his mind, and upon some turns of fortune well nigh tossed reason and conscience from their throne. With this inward regret was connected all that virtuous indignation which was naturally awakened by atrocious guilt, together with a firm and steadfast determination to obey his father's solemn injunction and bring the offender to a just retribution. Goethe should have looked in other places to find the true key to Hamlet's conduct and the great spring by which he was propelled. We would refer to the following passages of the drama, as more fully disclosing his state of mind to the reader. After the ghost has revealed to him the horrible circumstances of the murder, and solemnly enjoined upon him the punishment of the culprit, he exclaims, "Remember thee? Aye, thou poor ghost, while memory holds a seat in this distracted globe. Remember thee? Yea, from the tablet of my memory I'll wipe away all trivial fond records, and thy commandment all alone shall live within the book and volume of my brain, unmixed with baser matter." This passage is the one which furnishes the true key to all the subsequent deportment of Hamlet, and to the purpose he here promulges he most inflexibly adheres, whatever may be the vacillations of mind to which he becomes subject afterward, on account of his doubts, difficulties, and scruples of conscience. It is this mixed character in Hamlet, and the lights and shadows that are alternately falling upon the scene, perplexing his vision of the several objects presented, which give rise to all those interesting events and conversations that render this protection such a noble delineation of those divers affections and passions that actuate the human heart, and an unrivaled monument of human genius. Signed, Warburton.